Released on Valentine's Day in 2003, this $78 million neo-noir superhero production from director Mark Steven Johnson made just over $100 million in profit. Ben Affleck stars in the title role as a New York City lawyer blinded by toxic waste, who uses his newly enhanced remaining senses to fight crime as an acrobatic martial artist in Hell's Kitchen. The original comic book character was written by Stan Lee, who was never one for subtlety, which is why Daredevil quite literally upholds the virtue justice is blind. It makes the culmination of an early fight scene so unorthodox, as Affleck taunts a criminal while watching him die. Later, in an attempt to repair his image, or maybe just his own guilt, he reassures a young bystander by saying, "I'm not the bad guy, kid." Overloaded with noise, he goes to sleep every night in a special deprivation chamber, frustrated that he's unable to save everyone.
Stay out of Hell's Kitchen. This ain't your neighborhood no more. Kitchen belongs to the kingpin now.
This is a bruised and tortured hero that seeks unrepentant justice. Affleck does a surprisingly good job with the role, especially considering the thick contact lenses he wore during filming made him virtually blind himself. The auspiciously stacked cast also includes his future wife Jennifer Garner as a vengeful ninja with a propensity for push-up bras, Colin Farrell as an impatient hitman whose ability to throw darts really well is probably the lamest superpower ever, and Michael Clark Duncan as an ominously large criminal kingpin. They're joined by Jon Favreau, Joe Pantoliano, David Keith, and Leland Orser in smaller but pivotal supporting roles. Given the hammy material, everyone is better than likely expected, but the romantic thread at the film's core is ironically its weakest component. What may have worked behind the scenes between Ben and Jen clearly didn't translate on screen, as their exchanges feel stilted and stiff. Their introduction by way of a flirtatious fight, which reportedly took 4 full days to shoot, moves at half speed and looks decidedly pre-rehearsed and fake. Now, while I appreciate Daredevil's superhuman sharpness to his remaining senses, there's far too many harness-assisted jumps and tosses in this movie that are simply unrealistic for these mortal characters. Looking like he raided the wardrobe closet from Battlefield Earth, Farrell is a sharp adversary, hurling shards of glass at our hero, who backflips out of the way in an awesome shot rather blatantly borrowed from Spider-Man. While the decision to set nearly 80% of the narrative inside a flashback is a bizarre choice, the traditional origin story is still well-paced and fun. When young Daredevil first wakes up following his mutating accident, the resulting scene is a visceral one, as the frightened boy struggles to control his new radar hearing abilities. It's this very deliberate and sensory sound mix that is paired wonderfully with Graeme Revel's score, but the accompanying pop soundtrack really dates this picture, combining the trite music of Nickelback, Hoobastank, and an overplayed Evanescence song during a training montage. I originally saw this movie in theaters and honestly don't remember liking it that much, but the extended director's cut version I rewatched for this review pleasantly surprised me. Reincorporating a half hour of material into the film, this new 133-minute runtime allows for so much more character development, something sorely lacking from the theatrical edition. It also bumped up the film to a more mature R rating and includes an entirely new subplot involving Coolio, which ties a lot of the smaller threads together in a necessary way. Daredevil was Marvel's answer to DC Comics' Batman, and the two characters share a number of similarities with their backstory and darker realism, which is why it's a bit amusing that Affleck eventually got the opportunity to portray both on the big screen. Despite its mixed reception, this film did lead to the Garner-centric spin-off Elektra and a Netflix original series reboot in 2015, not to mention the 3 Affleck children who owe their very existence to their parents meeting on set. While the theatrical version was a misguided disappointment, the director's cut restores this feature to an enjoyable adventure worth seeing for all Marvel fans. Daredevil is an underrated film with redeeming characters, and here's what you had to say about it in the YouTube comments. The difference in opinion on this picture was striking, which was largely dependent on what version you saw. Criticizing the story and action, you thought this was meh, which is what I originally rated this movie the first time I saw it, but the director's cut has changed my opinion. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10.